Oluchi sat on the cold floor of her bedroom, her arms wrapped around her knees. Her face was filled with fresh wounds, which was a reminder of the beating that she had received last night from her husband. She knew that she should leave this useless marriage, as any woman in her position and with common sense would have packed their bags years ago and run away. But where would she go? Her mother's voice lived rent-free in her head, the same words that she had repeated to her on her wedding day. Bia, Nnem, a woman must endure in her husband's house. Whatever happens, do not come back home. It is a taboo for a woman to be returned to her father's house. Oluchi's mother had said to her. Oluchi remembered her mother's words and tears streamed down her eyes. Her two little children were the only reason why she was still in this sham of a marriage. Her heart usually squeezed at the thought of another woman raising them or treating them badly. That fear kept her in the marriage and made her endure the pain, insults, and beatings from her husband, who was supposed to love and pamper her. Oluchi had never wanted to marry her husband Chidi. At 20 years old, she was happy, bubbling, and looking forward to going to the university one day. She had dreams of becoming a businesswoman, but her parents had other plans for her. It all started one day when her only brother Nonso spoke to their father Mazi that he wanted to go into importation business. Nonso was her only brother and lived a very wayward lifestyle. Her parents had tried their best to make him responsible, but Nonso was a lost cause. His father Mazi had even sold lands and given him the money to start up businesses, but he would always squander the money and then come back home lying, with one excuse or the other. But because Nonso was their only son, they always forgave him and welcomed him back home with open arms. So this time, when Nonso had told their father that he wanted to start importation business, there was no other property to sell. Nonso put so much pressure on their father, promising him that he would change and become responsible if they could just give him the money to go to China to start this importation business. So Mazi stayed awake all night, thinking of how to raise this money for his beloved son. So one day, he came up with a perfect plan. He was going to sell the only thing of value in their home, which was their daughter. So they had to get Oluchi to get married to a rich man so that they could raise money to send her only brother Nonso, who was irresponsible, a drunkard, and a gambler, to China to start up a business just because he was their only son. So everything had to be done to favor him. So one day, Mazi called his daughter Oluchi and said, Oluchi, prepare. You're getting married to a rich, handsome man named Chidi. You know him now. He is very wealthy and he's coming next week to get married to you. Mazi said to his daughter excitedly. Oluchi stared at her father in shock and said, But Papa, I don't even know this Chidi. And I do not even love him. How can I even love someone that I don't know? Besides, marriage is not for me now. I want to go to school. She pleaded with tears in her eyes. But Mazi replied angrily and said, You are a woman, our daughter, and your duty is to help this family. And your brother needs money to travel to China to start importation business. Chidi, your future husband, has money and he's willing to marry you. And with the money that he gives us for your bride price, your brother will be able to achieve his dreams of going to China and becoming somebody in life. This is just a little sacrifice for the success of your brother. Besides, what do you even need school for? A woman's place is in her husband's house, is in the kitchen. So you will marry him whether you like it or not. Her father replied angrily, while her mother nodded her head in support. Oluchi's fate was sealed at that moment. She was going to marry Chidi, whether she liked it or not. So a few days later, and she was married to Chidi. Oluchi literally cried all through the wedding ceremony, but no one cared. And so, the money collected for her bride price was used to buy her wayward, irresponsible brother Nonso a plane ticket and capital to fund his business dreams, while Oluchi was thrown into a marriage with a man that she barely even knew. The first few weeks of her marriage and everything seemed to go on just fine. Even though it was a loveless marriage, Oluchi performed all her wifely duties as her mother had taught her. She cooked, cleaned, and took care of the home front. She did her best to avoid her husband Chidi, but it was only a matter of time for Chidi to show his true colors. Chidi was a woman beater, and he beat his wife Oluchi at the slightest provocation. Just barely few months into their marriage, Chidi had beaten Oluchi so badly that she thought that she would die. He would come home drunk, demanding for food. And when she told him that she had kept his dinner in the warmer, he would accuse her of being disrespectful and lazy and would beat her and leave her very weak. He literally beat her at the slightest provocation. The other day, Chidi had come back home very upset because he lost a business deal at the office. And of all the people to blame, he blamed Oluchi for bringing him bad luck, and he beat her again that night. That night, Oluchi could not take it any longer. With her body full of bruises, she packed a small bag and ran back straight to her father's house. She knocked on the door like a mad woman. Her mother opened the door, stared at her in shock. Oluchi, what are you doing here? Oluchi's mother asked, looking surprised. Mama, he will kill me, oh, he will kill me. I can't go back there. Oluchi said, crying. Her father, Mazi, who had heard voices, came out looking very upset. What is this nonsense? Why are you here, Oluchi? Mazi asked angrily. Papa, it's Chidi, the man that people forced me to marry. Chidi beats me. Look at me now. Look at all the wounds on my body. I cannot stay here anymore. Please, Mama, Papa, if I go back there, I will die. Please. Oluchi begged, crying. But Mazi, her father, replied angrily and said, you are a married woman. You have no place here. Don't you know that it is better to die in your husband's house than to bring shame to this family? So after all was said and done, they allowed her come in that night. Oluchi was so happy. She thought that she was now safe, but she was wrong. Because to her surprise, the next morning, her parents called her husband Chidi and told him to come. And when he arrived, they forced Oluchi to kneel before him. Beg your husband for forgiveness, Jerry. Look at you. Anumpama. Her mother ordered her. But Mama, I did not do anything wrong. He's the one who beats me. He's the one who hits me. Oluchi said, protesting. But before the words could fly out of her mouth, a hard slap landed on Oluchi's face. And this time, it wasn't from her husband, Chidi. It was from her own father. I said, kneel and beg him, Osiso. Mazi shouted angrily. So Oluchi, with tears streaming down her eyes, knelt down before the man who had almost killed her and said, I'm sorry, please take me back. Oluchi said in shame. Then her father stared at her and said, now go home and be a good wife and do not ever disgrace us like this again. By this time, Chidi was feeling so proud. He had won. So Oluchi in defeat followed her husband back to the house where her suffering continued. After the day that Oluchi's parents forced her to kneel and beg Chidi for forgiveness, something in him changed. It was as if a demon had been let out. Yes, Chidi had always been cruel to her, but now he had no fear, no restraint whatsoever. If her own family could side with him, then who would save her? The beatings became a normal part of her life. There was no longer need for a reason to beat her. Chidi would just simply beat her because he could beat her. He had fun beating the hell out of his wife. He beat her if she took long in serving his food. And he continued to beat her for years, even after they had children. Sometimes he would even beat her in front of his children. Her best friend Amaka always tried talking her out of the marriage, saying, Oluchi, Oluchi, how long will you continue like this? This is not marriage, oh. This is torture. Please leave. Amaka would say, looking very sad and concerned. Amaka, I have no choice. Where will I go? My parents will not even take me back. Oluchi replied, crying. And Amaka held her hand gently and said, then run, run and never look back before he kills you. Your children need you alive. Don't wait until they wake up one morning to find your dead body on the floor. You can come stay with me for crying out loud. We'll manage anyhow. Just leave this place. Amaka said. Oluchi was sad. She knew that her friend was telling the truth. But how could she leave? Meanwhile, Oluchi had a neighbor whose name was Adora. Adora was also married and suffered the exact same fate that Oluchi suffered as well. Adora's husband Emeka always beat her just the same way Chidi beat Oluchi. So Adora and Oluchi would usually sit together for hours discussing their evil husbands. One afternoon, both women were seated in Oluchi's parlor. They both bore fresh breezes on their faces. Oluchi stared at Adora and said, how bad was it this time? What happened? Why did he beat you this time? Oluchi asked, trembling. Hmm, he was drunk, oh, my sister. He came back late from work, drunk, yet had the guts to accuse me of stealing his money. I told him that I did not steal from him, yet he beat me regardless. This man will spend all his money drinking in the beer parlor, and when the money finishes, he will now start accusing me that I'm the one that stole his money. Hey, Adora said sadly. Then Oluchi replied and said, it was the same with me yesterday, oh. My husband said that the food that I served him was too cold, and because of that, he beat me like a thief. Sometimes I wish I would just disappear with my children and never come back. Oluchi replied sadly. Then Adora looked at her and said, me too. I wish I could leave. My brother asked me to leave Emeka years ago, but my mom warned me not to disgrace the family. Now see me. As I am like this, I've given up all hope. I am just waiting for the day that Emeka will kill me. But Oluchi promised me something. That if anything ever happens to me, that you will run. You will not stay and let Chidi kill you too. Please, promise me. Adora said sternly. Oh, don't say that now. Don't talk about death like that. You will not die. Maybe one day we will be free, but nothing will happen to you, Adora. You will be alive. Oluchi replied sadly. But Adora squeezed her hands tightly and said, Oluchi, please just promise me that if I die, that you would leave your abusive home. Adora said gently, and tears welled up in Oluchi's eyes as she nodded and promised her, yes, I promise you. So that day, they hugged each other and waved each other goodbye as Adora left for her house. But 2 days later, and Oluchi heard that Adora was dead. Her husband, as usual, had beaten her blue black and killed her and then fled their home. As a matter of fact, the police was looking for him, but no one could find him. Oluchi was so broken. She wept, she wailed non-stop. She thought about the last conversation that she had with her friend, and then it dawned on her that she had to leave before it was her turn. So that night, she did not even think about it twice. She remembered her promise to Adora, so she packed up her two children and fled the house. Her heart pounded. She was scared that Chidi would come after them and catch her. But she did not care. At least she was going to try. All she wanted to do at this point was to get away. And a few hours later, she arrived at her best friend's house, Amaka. Amaka was so happy to accommodate her and her children. Oluchi began searching for any job at all. She washed clothes for people, she scrubbed floors, she even sold akara by the roadside. She would work tirelessly from morning till night just to make sure that she could care for her children and that she was not being a burden to her friend Amaka. Amaka was very helpful. She never for once complained and continued to support her friend Oluchi. Meanwhile, her brother Nonso, who was supposed to be in China and who her parents were hopeful that would finally become a successful businessman because they had literally sacrificed everything for him, including Oluchi, was not working hard in China. Instead, he was wasting the money on gambling, alcohol, and partying. He even got involved with the wrong people. And in no time, he turned to drug trafficking, believing that it would make him rich quickly. And it was not long before they caught him and deported him. One day, Nonso just showed up at his parents' house with nothing but the clothes on his back and a heart that was full of anger. And from that day, Nonso became a terror in their home. He would steal money from his own mother, money that his mother had planned to use to buy food to cook for the house. And he did not stop there. Oh. One by one, things started disappearing because Nonso sold all of their properties to buy alcohol, drugs, and cigarettes. He tormented his parents and made their life miserable. They were always screaming and shouting at him. But when there was nothing left to steal, he started demanding money from his father directly. And when his father failed to give him the amount that he asked for, he would pounce on his father and beat the living daylight out of him. Mama and Papa Oluchi were always in tears. They were crying non-stop. Nonso literally made their lives miserable. But Oluchi's life, on the other hand, changed for the better one fine evening when she was struggling to carry a heavy basin of clothes that she had washed for a wealthy woman. And then a car pulled up beside her. A tall, handsome man stepped out. He looked very handsome and then looked at her and said, "Let me help you with that," he said, reaching for the basin. But Oluchi stepped back quickly and said, "No, sir, I'm fine, I'm fine," Oluchi said. And then they got talking. His name was Kenechi. He was a successful businessman that owned multiple companies. So he offered Oluchi a job on the spot. He told her to come work as his receptionist in one of his companies. So the next day, Oluchi went to his office. So from that day onwards, for the first time in years, Oluchi had a stable income. She could finally buy enough food for her children. And she could now finally support Amaka in paying rent. She could finally breathe. Kenechi liked her. He was moved by her determination. And over time, they grew closer and he fell in love with her. Kenechi was very patient, kind. He was the exact opposite of her ex-husband, Chidi. So one day, he asked Oluchi to marry him, and she agreed. They got married very quickly, and they had a beautiful wedding. Oluchi's children finally had a loving father. She had a real home. For the first time in many years, Oluchi was truly happy. She had never felt this kind of love that Kenechi showered her with. But Kenechi did not even stop there. He also sponsored her education and paid for everything, her tuition, her books, and even a nanny to help with the children. And after a while, Oluchi graduated. She was so happy. She was no longer the helpless woman that had to run away from an abusive marriage. She was now a strong, independent, and successful woman that had a very loving husband. She was so grateful to God for rewriting her story. Meanwhile, her parents continued to suffer in the hands of her brother. Nonso made their lives a living hell. One night, Nonso had just finished beating his mother because she did not cook any food for him. So Mama Oluchi sat with her husband Mazi. They were both crying and then said, Biko, what did we do to deserve this? Then Papa Oluchi replied and said, we made the wrong choices, oh. We abandoned our daughter and worshipped our son, thinking that our son was the one that would have a bright future. Now see what we are left with. Maybe we should go and beg Oluchi. Maybe she would help us. Mama Oluchi replied, beg who? Oluchi. Oluchi can never forgive us. And we have ourselves to blame. We can't go. So Papa Oluchi and Mama Oluchi continue to live their life in misery, while Oluchi continued to enjoy a happy life with her new husband, Kene. But one day, Mazi could not take it any longer because their beloved son Nonso was getting worse by the day. So he and his wife agreed to just go and try their luck and beg Oluchi to see whether she would forgive them and take care of them because they were not getting any younger and needed someone to take care of them. Besides, they heard that she was now a very wealthy woman. So one morning, Oluchi was in her office reviewing some business reports when her secretary walked in and told her that her parents were waiting to see her. Oluchi froze. She was shocked. My parents came. She hadn't seen them in years. Not since they forced her to return to Chidi. Not since they abandoned her. She was unsure of how she felt, but told her secretary to let them in regardless. So Mazi and Mama Oluchi came in. They looked weak, tired, and defeated. Their clothes were old and faded. Her mother's hands were trembling. Her father looked like a shadow of himself. For a moment, both of them could not open their mouth to talk. Then after a while, her mother fell to her knees and said, Oluchi, my daughter, please forgive us. Then her father also chipped in and said, my child, we were wrong. We treated you badly. We forced you into that terrible marriage. We are so sorry. Mazi said, looking very sad. Hey, is that all that you did? Hey, you did worse than that now. You did not just force me into that marriage. You literally threw me into hell. And when I ran to you for help, what did you do? No. Tell me, what did you do? You sent me right back. You made me kneel and beg the man that almost strangled me. All for what? For your precious son, Nonso. How is he now? Where is he? Has he become a successful businessman? Is he now importing containers from China? Eh? Oluchi screamed angrily at her parents. Her mother continued sobbing and said, Oluchi, Adam, we are sorry. We had no choice. We needed money for your brother. We thought we were doing the right thing. But now we know better. Nonso has ruined us. Can you imagine that Nonso beats me? He has even sold the little things of value that we own. Because Oluchi. Her mother said, crying. We have nothing left. We are suffering. Please, Oluchi, help us. Forgive us. Please, my daughter, don't turn your back on us. Oluchi, please, we are old. Please. Her father chipped in, also crying. They both knelt before Oluchi, crying and weeping. But Oluchi simply stared at them. She was not even moved at all. And then she said, well, you chose your precious son over me. You threw me away like garbage. You literally sold me as a property to raise money. Hi, yeah. Oluchi has suffered. Now that your precious son has destroyed his life and now wants to destroy your life, you now want me to save you. You turned your back on me first. You have laid your bed, so you must lie on it though. Hey, you must lie on it. I remember when I came begging you like this. Did you listen? When I had nowhere to go, no one to turn to, did you listen to me? Did you care? So it's now that you want my help and you expect me to care and to listen, to act like nothing happened. It can't happen. It cannot happen. Oluchi replied angrily. And then she ordered them out of her office. Her parents screamed and begged and did all of that. But Oluchi did not look back. Some betrayals could never be forgotten. So Oluchi kicked her parents out of her office. Meanwhile, Oluchi heard that her ex-husband Chidi had remarried another unfortunate woman, a younger girl named Amara. And she knew that it was only a matter of time for him to turn her into a punching bag as well. Oluchi felt bad for her. But regardless, she continued to live happily ever after with her husband and children. Meanwhile, her parents continued to suffer in the hands of her brother, their beloved son, Nonso. Hi besties! It's your favorite storyteller, Omalicha. Thank you so much for watching my story to the end. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on this one. What do you think? If you were Oluchi, would you have forgiven your parents? Like, would you have forgiven them? Then what do you think about, parents that always esteem their sons higher than their daughters? I feel like daughters do a better job at taking care of their parents in old age than their sons. What do you think? Or what happens in your own family? Do the girls in the family take better care of the parents than the guys in the family? Please share your thoughts with me in the comment section and please support your home girl, Omalicha, by subscribing to my channel, liking my videos, and sharing with your loved ones. So now, till I come your way again with more interesting stories, bye!